What's up, YouTube? Frank Avalon here. Today I'm going to be telling you guys how I get all my clothes for a lot cheaper than the everyday shopper. So before we get started, I do want to say that I'm not just talking about getting much cheaper clothes like, for example, Walmart or something, or Target, or going to some of those stores that have like no name brands, and obviously that's going to be a lot cheaper than the big name brands. But the way I'm going to be teaching you guys today is actually how to get like the name brands for a lot cheaper. And even the prices for these ways that I'm going to be going over can literally compare to Walmart and Target's clothing, price-wise, but not quality. So there's a couple ways that you can go about this. Personally, I've been doing this for the past 4 or 5 years, and it's really saved me a ton of money. I would never go back to the old ways of just buying clothes for full price at the name brand stores. To jump right into this, one of the first ways to save a ton of money on clothes is to go to outlets. So instead of going to the normal mall or clothing stores that carry just one brand, so for example like Calvin Klein or Express or something like that, you can literally go to the outlets, and if you have some of these places near you, you can save a ton of money, because basically what happens at these stores is it's the same name brand clothing that you can get from the mall or those stores that I mentioned, except everything's at a discounted rate. The reason why they usually do this is sometimes there's like a little stitch missing or something, or it's literally just last season's clothes. And unless you're like a model or something, I don't see why anyone would care about what season their clothes were released in. So even though that this is definitely a good way to go about it, it's personally not my favorite way, because a lot of times it's far from where you live and the sales really aren't as good as some of these other places that I'm going to mention. So another way to save a ton of money on clothing is actually to shop sales and to shop out of season clothing. So just like I mentioned with the last part, a lot of times like clothing brands will release their clothes for a specific season and year, and then after that, all those clothes that didn't sell, they usually put those on sale for much cheaper than they started off at. So one way to go about this is, say you're looking to buy clothes for summer, you should probably, instead of buying them in the heat of summer or in the middle of the summer, literally buy them in the spring or after the summer, and then save them for the following year so you can get them at a much cheaper rate. The next one kind of goes hand in hand with the last one, but it's literally to shop holiday sales. So for example, most stores in general, not just clothing stores, will usually run sales during holidays just to promote more people to get into the store and buy more. And this is a great time to go ahead and buy some clothes, or really buy anything during this time, because everything is usually marked down a little bit. And while it might not save you a ton of money, it's definitely cheaper than just doing the standard route. So while those ways are great, the next 4 ways that I'm going to be talking about are my personal favorite, and that's actually what I do. And since I started doing this, no joke, I literally have been spending so little on clothes compared to if I was going to go buy them from the actual store. It's crazy. So for these next 4 stores, I'm actually going to go in the order of most expensive to the cheapest. So the first one that I started using actually is Century 21. And the reason why I like this store, and the reason why a lot of people do like it as well, is because you can literally get like top name brand clothing for much cheaper. So even if you are one of those people that really wants to, wear the most expensive clothing, this is still a great option, because even though they do carry everything from probably, Nike to Express sometimes, Calvin Klein, Michael Kors, all of those brands, and like Polo and Tommy Hilfiger, you can also go all the way up to like Gucci and stuff like that if you really want to. Now, those are still definitely expensive, because at the end of the day, they're still real designer clothes, but since typically they're out of season, you can really get a huge discount on them. Personally, I don't really do this because I don't want to spend a ton of money on clothes in general, but if you do want to be wearing those kind of brands, this is definitely the best way to go about it. Like I mentioned though, because this one has the top brands, it definitely is more expensive than the other 3 that I'm going to be mentioning today. However, I've still found really good deals, and even within that store, you can go into the clearance section and really find some incredible deals. Just off the top of my head, one thing that I did a couple weeks ago with my friend was we went and we were looking through the clearance racks, and I actually found a pair of pants that were, I forget what brand, like some expensive brand, and they're $120 brand new. It still had the regular price tag on it. And I literally, for some reason, I guess there might have been like a stitch missing or something, I got the pair of pants for $7. And even when I rang it up, the girl at the cash register couldn't believe it. The next store that I'm going to be mentioning is definitely one of my personal favorite, especially when I'm shopping for shoes. So the store that I'm talking about is Burlington Coat Factory. even though the name suggests that it's only for coats, that's actually not the case. And a couple years ago, they kind of switched it to start doing more of an all-in-one store, I guess just to compete really with other stores. So now they do focus primarily on coats and stuff like that. But basically, depending on the season, they'll have anything from just regular shoes. They have shirts, pants, and stuff like that. So everything really clothing-wise is in the store. A lot of them too, they break it into two different stores. So I know the one by me, it's actually right next door to the Burlington Coat Factory. There's just Burlington, and then Burlington basically focuses on like shoes, and they have like household items and stuff like that. And for me, this place is definitely the best for finding shoes because they have those good name brand shoes that I like to wear. But literally, I find them for usually under 40 bucks. Now, just like the rest of the stores that I mentioned, there is clearance sections in this store as well. So if you really want to take it to the next level of savings, you can check out the clearance racks and really save some money. Now, the third store that I'm going to be talking about really isn't like a specialty store or anything. It's actually their clothing brand, but it's a clothing brand that I feel definitely has good quality clothing and good style. They're usually like up with the trends and everything like that, but for some reason it's just such cheap clothing. And the store that I'm talking about is actually H&M. H&M for me definitely is a great place where I usually get all my jeans from because the jeans are super comfortable, they look really nice, and they're super cheap. So you're literally getting them right from H&M. Like, you don't have to go to any of these discount stores that I was talking about, but for some reason they literally have jeans anywhere from $15 to $35. You know, sometimes it gets more expensive than that, but for me, I usually find them at a good deal. And like I said, with the other stores, there's clearance racks in this as well, where you can really save a ton of money. And not only do they focus on like jeans at the store, but that's just my personal favorite. They also have really good deals on shirts. So, you know, just basic tees like the one I'm wearing, you can get, usually they don't have like logos on it or anything like that or designs, but you can get basic good quality tees for around like $5 to $7. And sometimes, you know, you pay a little bit more, like 15 and stuff, and then you get some design on them, but they're still great shirts and they're still super cheap even without a sale going on in the store. Okay, so the last store that I want to mention is definitely one of my favorites, but you're not really going to be finding super high-end clothes like how I said Century 21 has, like, you know, Gucci and Louis Vuitton and stuff like that. However, they definitely have good enough brands where you can still get Michael Kors, Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, and then if you want to go into like the sportswear, like Adidas, Nike, everything like that. And it basically works the same way as the other stores that I mentioned, how it's usually out of season clothes or there's just one little thing wrong with them, but typically there's not usually anything wrong with them. It's just basically overstock or last seasons, like I was saying. So this store is definitely more on the hit or miss side because it goes on seasons and stuff like that and overstock. It's really just depending on how the market is. So sometimes you'll go in there and there'll be a ton of shoes, ton of clothes for sale, and sometimes you'll go in there and there's really not much. However, if you have one close to your house, it doesn't hurt to go check like every month or two if you need the clothes. For me personally, this is the one that I usually get my shirts from because they do have, I literally got the shirt from Marshalls, and I think it was $12 for a Michael Kors shirt. And everyone knows you go online and you check out these Michael Kors, these Polo, these Calvin Klein, stuff like that. And like basic t-shirts, just like the one I'm wearing, like literally just a piece of cotton with a design on it, could go anywhere from like $30 to 50 to 60 to sometimes even more than that. So it's definitely a good place to go take advantage of that and get clothes for super cheap. The real crazy thing about this store is because this is the cheapest one out of all of them, as it is, it's super cheap. And now if you actually go into the clearance section of this store, stuff really gets like funny. Like, to be honest, yesterday I went to Marshall's and I was looking for shirts because I needed some more t-shirts, and I went to the clearance rack and they literally had a bunch of Calvin Klein shirts for $6. Literally just real, nothing wrong with them, just straight up Calvin Klein t-shirts for $6. So I definitely loaded up on those, and it's a super easy way to still like dress good but pay a fraction of the price. Now the last thing I'm going to mention, I actually don't do, but this is definitely another way to save a ton of money on clothes, is you can go on websites and stuff that sell used clothes, or a lot of times you can also go to thrift shops and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily like doing that, but if you don't mind, I mean, you wash the shirt's still clean, so it doesn't really matter. But I get if you don't want to. However, I know some friends that actually do this, and they can get really nice shirts or really nice pants, really nice clothes in general for super, super cheap. And a lot of times you can even resell these to make a profit. I know also websites such as eBay or Letgo are also really good for this. A lot of times you could even find brand new clothes. I wouldn't go too crazy with buying like name brand clothes, like if you want to get the super high end designer stuff, because there's a lot of knockoffs and fakes out there. So I'd probably steer away from that. But if you want to just go get normal clothing, this is definitely a great way to save some money as well. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And as always, if you guys like the video, please go down and hit that like button. And if you guys want to see more and you're not subscribed already, please do so. And if you guys think this will be helpful to any of your friends or family, please share the video with them and like tell them about it and let them know. Alright guys, so that's it for this. Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up for today. If you guys like the video, please do... Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up for today. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. And if you guys did like the video, please make sure you make it... Holy fuck. Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up for today. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave the comments. Oh my god.